Sometimes they say that hate is too strong of a word. With Adam Gase, I would argue it's not a strong enough word. The New York Jets have fired Adam Gase, and Jets fans can finally rejoice. Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary, back with another video, and oh, am I excited. The New York Jets have moved on from Adam Gase. The 2-year disaster is over. Thank the Lord. It was a stupid decision to hire him in January of 2019, but in January 2021, 2 years later, 32 games done, it's over. Adam Gase is gone. He got the boot. The New York Jets will be doing an extensive coaching search in the coming weeks. There's going to be a ton of rumors, so make sure to stick with me on the channel. So subscribe right now if you haven't already. But let's talk about Adam Gase and just how bad of a head coach he was. In his 2 years, 32 games coached, he went 9-23, which is a .281 win percentage. Only Rich Kotite and Lou Holtz had a worse win percentage. No, I'm not counting guys who only coached a handful of games. Of guys who actually coached this team, Adam Gase was the third worst in win percentage and arguably the most hated. To me, everyone hated Rich Kotite. Adam Gase might finally take the cake for what he did to this franchise. In 2018, the New York Jets drafted Sam Darnold. People were high on Sam Darnold as a prospect and in his first year, and even at times in his second year too. And heading into his third year, a majority of the people were saying, okay, this is the year that Sam's going to take his leap. Well, he did not. In fact, a big part of the reason why he didn't was because of Adam Gase. Yes, some of it's him, some of it's other surroundings as well. There's a litany of reasons why he did not succeed here, but Adam Gase being hired in 2019 was probably the icing on the cake because they strapped themselves into a guy who parlayed Peyton Manning being good, an all-time quarterback, into an offensive coordinator gig in Chicago. He has one mediocre season there, gets a head coaching job in Miami, does a terrible job there, gets booted out after 3 years, and the Jets said, you know what, we'll hand you the keys to the franchise and let you run the show with our 21-year-old quarterback who needs developing. Instead, does he hire a real offensive coordinator? No. He brings Dowell Loggins, who would not be in the NFL if it wasn't for Adam Gase along with him. And does he hire a quarterback coach to work with the young 21, 22-year-old quarterback? Also, no. He is essentially the head coach, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, and Dowell Loggins throws the challenge flag, and I don't know what else Dowell Loggins does, but unfortunately, the decision to hire Adam Gase was probably the start of the downfall of Sam Darnold and the beginning of the end, if you will. So let's just look at how this guy, who was deemed an offensive guru, I'll say it again, an offensive guru, did over the last 2 years. In 2020, his team averaged 15 points per game. In 2020 in the NFL, 15 points per game. I still don't know how that is humanly possible, but they did it. In 2019, wasn't much better, 17 points per game. They somehow went 7-9 on the backs of great defensive play in the second half of the year. Yes, there were the 3-game stretch where they put up 30-plus points, but other than that, this team stunk for the 32 games that he coached outside of that 3-game sample size in the middle of the 2019 season. How about point differential? That's important, right? Usually, if you outscore your opponents, you tend to do well. Well, the Jets finished 2-14 this year, and they had a negative 214 point differential. One more time. Yes, that really happened. A negative 214 point differential. That's absurdly bad. In 2019, it was a negative 83, so not great. Over the span of 2 years, that's a negative 297 point differential. He was outscored by almost 300 points in 2 years. You can't make this up. It's literally insane just how bad he was. With Sam Darnold as his quarterback, he had him for 13 games in 2019 and 12 games in 2020. And in 2020, there was only one game, ironically, this last game against the New England Patriots, where Sam Darnold eclipsed the 250-yard mark. He did that 5 times in 2019. And there were 0 in 2020 passing games over 300 yards from a Jets quarterback. That's just, again, in 2020, not sure how that's possible, but Adam Gase, who was coaching to where the game is going, another famous quote, we knew this should have been doomed from the opening press conference with his eyeballs going all over the place, for some reason is just unable to do anything offensively as an offensive guru or genius, whatever you want to call him. In his 32 games as Jets head coach, the Jets scored under 20 points 20 times. They scored over 30 points just 3 times. Again, that stretch in the middle of the 2019 season. As I said, So many storylines that could go along with why Adam Gase was such a bad coach. He played a gigantic role in ruining Sam Darnold. It really pains me to sit here and say that talking about like the past, like the Sam Darnold era is over because of how excited I was about him in 2018, 2019, and even before the season this year. But it's just incredible how much this kid has regressed, and a lot of it is on Adam Gase. I don't know if it's fixable at this point. That's a whole conversation for another day. But there's just been so many other storylines on top of that. Running Frank Gore into the ground. What is his obsession with Frank Gore? He did it in Miami, and he brought it here. Like, he became a meme of himself. Like, people talk about Stephen A. Smith or Colin Cowherd just becoming a parody of themselves. Adam Gase became a parody of himself with the New York Jets with just how poorly he coached, how much bubble screens he ran, how many runs up the A-gap on second and long. Holy smokes. I wish someone loved me in my life as much as Adam Gase loves running up the middle with Frank Gore on 2nd and 10. Holy smoke. I just don't understand why you continue to run those kinds of plays when you have the lack of success. Nonetheless, he was unable to adjust. He had no idea how to use the Jets' best offensive weapons. Le'Veon Bell, who they paid big money to come in here, was extremely underwhelming. Chris Herndon just figured out to use him in week 17 of this year. It took him 32 games as a head coach before he game planned him into the game. Didn't use Robbie Anderson correctly. Robbie Anderson leaves as a 1,000-yard receiver with somebody who can't, quote-unquote, throw a deep ball. Yes, he went to Carolina, and the thing with Teddy Bridgewater was, oh, he can't throw a deep ball. Why is he going there? Well, he had over 1,000 yards, and I was told time and time again that Brashad Perryman was going to be better than Robbie Anderson. That's laugh out loud funny. He blamed everyone around him, never took any blame until the very bitter end. He scapegoated Greg Williams. He scapegoated Mike McCagnon, which was probably a good thing. One of the few things that Adam Gase did well was he rid this franchise of one of the worst general managers this team's ever had in Mike McCagnon. And he beefed with players like Le'Veon Bell, like Jamal Adams. There was a ton of drama over the 2 years that he was here as head coach of the New York Jets. They were a complete and utter laughingstock. It made people want and yearn for the Todd Bowles days. Todd Bowles was an awful head coach. Terrible. A bottom 3 head coach in the league. But Adam Gase was so bad that people were saying, you know what, maybe Todd Bowles wasn't as bad. That's how bad things got. I truly, as I sit here today with the news finally coming out, I am relieved. It's a weight lifted off my shoulders. There's no more spin zones for that first year. You would be shocked how many people were saying that I was too critical of Adam Gase. I got to give him a chance, this and that. And now 2 years later, he's gone. And pretty much every single person that I've ever spoken to who's a New York Jets fan at this point want him gone. I don't know any defenders left of Adam Gase. So when you have everyone unified wanting to move on, that's how you know it's pretty bad. So I will not miss Adam Gase. He was awful for this franchise. Like I said, hate is probably not strong enough of a word. It's not just from a football perspective. He's not a likable guy either. Like Todd Bowles, at least, was he a bad coach? Yes. Was he an awful human being? No. Todd Bowles seemed like a nice guy. He seemed like he meant well. He just wasn't a good coach. Adam Gase seems like a terrible person. He is so stubborn. He scapegoats everyone. He stabs people in the back. It's just, I don't know how he is ever going to get a job in the NFL again. Supposedly, New England is interested in bringing him in. I don't necessarily know if I would buy that. Him and Dowell Logan should be not allowed within 100 miles of a football field in the NFL. That's how bad the era was. Let me know what you guys think about Adam Gase getting fired. You should be excited like I am. The extensive head coaching search is about to begin. It's going to be a ton of fun, but for now, that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll talk to you next time.
Wow.